their ballots in person unless they meet very specific requirements, meaning that the no-excuse mail-in voting law was, in actuality, unconstitutional. Here's specifically what the Commonwealth judge in the case, who for your reference is named Judge Mary Levitt, here's what she wrote in her court order explaining her decision. Quote, "No excuse mail-in voting makes the exercise of the franchise more convenient and has been used 4 times in the history of Pennsylvania. Approximately 1.38 million voters have expressed their interest in voting by mail permanently. If presented to the people, a constitutional amendment is likely to be adopted. But a constitutional amendment must be presented to the people before measures like Act 77 can take effect." Now, right there, she mentioned Act 77. And in case you're not aware, Act 77 was passed in the Pennsylvania legislature, and then it was signed into law by Governor Tom Wolf back in the year 2019. And Act 77, it essentially allows for no-excuse mail-in voting throughout the entire state. However, what Judge Levitt is arguing here in this court order is that if the general electorate in Pennsylvania wishes to see general no-excuse mail-in voting applied throughout the entire state, well, then they would have to introduce an amendment to their constitution. That's because, as it stands right now, Act 77 is in direct contradiction to what it says in the Pennsylvania Constitution. And for your reference, here's specifically what Article 7, Section 14 of the Pennsylvania Constitution says regarding this matter. Quote, "Absentee or mail-in voting is allowed for qualified electors who may, on the occurrence of any election, be absent from the municipality of their residence because their duties, occupation, or business require them to be elsewhere, or who on the occurrence of any election are unable to attend at their proper polling places because of illness or physical disability, or who will not attend a polling place because of the observance of a religious holiday, or who cannot vote because of election day duties in the case of a county employee." And so, as you can see, according to the state constitution, there are very strict requirements for who can actually vote by mail. There are only about 5 or 6 scenarios where you can do so. However, Act 77, it contradicted these requirements. And given the fact that it was a state statute, well, then naturally, it has less legal weight than the actual state constitution. And so, unless there is an appeal from Governor Tom Wolf, which there likely will be, he will likely appeal this to the state Supreme Court. But until then, the state's elections are now governed by this court order right here. And so, pending any changes, the upcoming midterm elections over in Pennsylvania, they will not be using no-excuse mail-in ballots. Although, again, the challenge to this order is coming up soon. Here's, in fact, what Mr. Josh Shapiro, he's Pennsylvania's Democrat Attorney General, here's what he said in the statement as a reaction to this court ruling. Quote, "This opinion is based on twisted logic and faulty reasoning and is wrong on the law. It will be immediately appealed and therefore won't have any immediate impact on Pennsylvania's upcoming elections." However, on the flip side, there were many positive reactions to this ruling as well. For instance, Mr. Jake Corman, who is the Pennsylvania Senate President pro tempore, he's a Republican, and he was rather pleased with this court decision. Here's specifically what he said as a part of a statement. "Today's ruling should serve as a call to action to open up a serious conversation about the reforms necessary to make voting both accessible and secure for all Pennsylvanians. Governor Wolf has ignored this debate for over a year, but hopefully this ruling will help bring him to the table so we can address concerns about our election system once and for all." And then likewise, President Donald Trump released a statement following this ruling as well, saying this in part. And please note, I had to trim his statement just a little bit in order to comply with the censorship here on YouTube. Quote, "The practice of no-excuse mail-in ballots put in place by Democrats right before the 2020 election has been ruled unconstitutional by the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court. Here's the key question. If widespread mail-in balloting is unconstitutional in Pennsylvania now, how could mail-in balloting have been constitutional in the 2020 presidential election then?" Which, regardless of which side of the political aisle you find yourself on, is a legitimate question. And perhaps after the Pennsylvania governor appeals the decision and we get an actual decision from the state Supreme Court, we will know the answer to that question. Regardless